Alongside Germany, France has been in the driver's seat of European integration. But record figures released Thursday show more than 3.2 million French are jobless. Further cuts are looming. Carmaker Citroën has announced the closure of this factory outside Paris. Steel giant ArcelorMittal has begun mothballing furnaces. In contrast, the biggest hiring announcement came from the National Employment Agency, Pôle Emploi. Philippe Brossard is from investment group AG2R La Mondiale.
GDP declined approximately 1% since the financial crisis started in 2008, and our employment is declining approximately at the pace of the GDP.
The lack of growth has divided opinion. French President François Hollande, backed by many southern European leaders and the IMF, blames the lack of growth in Europe on too much austerity or government spending cuts. But Germany and the European Central Bank say governments must continue to pay down their debts. Amid anti-austerity protests across the continent, the European Commission President said this week that austerity had reached its limit of popular support. EU Commissioner for Economic Affairs, Rein, echoed that view.
This slowing down of the pace of fiscal consolidation, it has been made possible by three factors in particular. First, by the increased credibility of fiscal policy, which the euro area member states have achieved since 2011. Second, by the decisive action the European Central Bank has taken to stabilize the markets. And third, by the reform of EU economic governance.
There is a growing acceptance that austerity has not worked, says Simon Tilford, chief economist at the analyst group Centre for European Reform.
Lots of European countries are chasing their tails. They're cutting public spending at a time when businesses are not investing and consumers are not consuming. So the cuts in public spending are just compounding the weakness of their economies.
An easing of austerity does not mean a sudden change to big government spending, says Tobias Blattner, chief European economist at Daiwa Capital Markets.
Everybody still wants and thinks that long-term fiscal consolidation should be the aim, and it's exactly the right policy. But I think, as the European Commission President said, this should be done at a much slower pace in order, I think, to ensure social cohesion.
In Spain, meanwhile, the unemployment figure has reached more than 6 million, more than 27% of the workforce, the highest since the country's transition to democracy in 1976. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.